As this case shows, sometimes greed is a more powerful source than love. And it's another case that shows that evil can be found where you least expect it. Hello everyone, my name is Anya, and in this video we're going to take a look into what happened on this day in the year 1996. The murder of Tom Nevin. In the early hours of the 19th of March 1996, Gardaí were called to the Jack White's pub in British Bay, County Wicklow. The pub was owned and managed by married couple Tom Nevin and his wife Catherine. In the bedroom, Gardaí discovered Catherine Nevin tied up and gagged, and in the pub, they discovered the lifeless body of 55-year-old Tom Nevin slumped against the bar. It was determined that Tom Nevin had died as a result of multiple gunshot wounds to the head and chest. He had been shot while he was sitting at the bar. A half-drunk pint of Guinness was found still sitting on the table. In her testimony to Gardaí, Catherine Nevin claimed that in the early hours a robber had broken into the pub, shouting and demanding money and jewellery before tying her up and going into the pub where Tom Nevin had been shot. An investigation discovered that more than £16,000 and multiple pieces of jewellery had been stolen from the premises. The couple's car was also found abandoned several miles away. The news of Tom Nevin's murder struck a blow to the community. He was described by friends, family and employees as a kind and caring individual who did everything he could to provide a little bit of comfort and support to those around him. Dozens arrived at his funeral service that took place in the coming days. Catherine Nevin stood at her husband's graveside, clutching a single rose. An investigation immediately began into the murder, and as it progressed, it didn't take Gardaí very long for them to point the finger of suspicion towards Catherine Nevin. Tom and Catherine Nevin had been married since 1976. They became the owners and the managers of the Jack White's pub in 1986. For the next several years, employees and friends described their marriage as quite troubled. It became clear to those around the couple that it was Catherine Nevin who called the shots on everything. She was the one who did the hiring and firing. She was the one who decided who she deemed eligible to come to the pub, and she was known as a perfectionist. She would get into frequent arguments with employees if they didn't clean the pub to her standards. And she had gained a reputation for barring anyone she could think of from entering the pub. It was also reported that Catherine Nevin had been having several affairs throughout their marriage. Tom Nevin was known to have been aware of at least one of these affairs, but given that he had been married and divorced previously, he felt he could do nothing to get out of his marriage to Catherine. Friends and family described Catherine Nevin as the domineering one. She was the one who controlled the money, controlled the pub, and was also very controlling towards her husband. It was clear that in the domineering side of the marriage, it was Catherine Nevin who called all the shots. But the question remained, was she responsible for her husband's murder? As the investigation progressed, Gardaí discovered that in the years prior to Tom Nevin's death, Catherine Nevin had approached 3 separate individuals, Willie McLean, Jerry Heaps and John Jones, and had offered them large sums of money to kill her husband. It's known that Catherine Nevin had had a sexual affair with Willie McLean. After all three men testified, in 1997, Catherine Nevin was arrested and charged with solicitation and the murder of her husband, Tom Nevin. She was eventually brought to trial in 2000. Throughout her trial, Catherine Nevin was portrayed as a proud and controlled individual who always had her hair and makeup done every morning before the trial. During her testimony, she tried to claim that her husband was a controlling and violent individual who had a love for alcohol and had connections with the IRA. Those who knew Tom Nevin testified against her and stated that Tom Nevin was a kind and caring individual who had no issues with alcohol, was someone who offered support to everyone he knew, was someone who was domineered and controlled throughout his marriage to Catherine, and if anyone was an abuser throughout their marriage, it was her. The three individuals who she had solicited to murder Tom Nevin also testified against Catherine Nevin throughout the trial. In a trial that lasted 61 days in April 2000, Catherine Nevin was found guilty of the murder of her husband, Tom Nevin. She was also found guilty of 3 counts of solicitation. She was sentenced to life imprisonment. The identity of the person who shot and murdered Tom Nevin remains unknown to this day. And unfortunately, Catherine Nevin took the truth of their identity to the grave. In 2017, after serving 17 years in prison, she was released on compassionate grounds after being diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumour. She died in 2018 at the age of 67. 30 years have passed since the murder of Tom Nevin. It's been described as one of the most high-profile murder cases in the history of the Republic of Ireland. Catherine Nevin has gone down in the Irish media as Black Widow. She had that way of luring people in to her web. She had the manner of getting anyone around her to do exactly what she wanted. For her, money was more important than her husband's life. But for those who knew Tom Nevin, they are determined that he will be remembered for the kind and caring individual that he was. This is a case that shows that sometimes greed is a more powerful source than love. And it's another case that shows that evil can be found where you least expect it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. My name is Anya, and we just looked at what happened on this day.